season is my friend, my brother, the Hall of Fame wide receiver, Cris Carter. What's going on, big time? How are you, CC? How's everything?
Man, we've been talking the last couple of weeks and everything. And I got confidence in you. And you told me I was going to be on the show and everything. But now I got inside information, bro. I know your sister want me to be on the show. I know I got a future.
You're damn right you got a future. I mean, Carmen run things. She's the power behind the throne. You know how she rolls. Chris, I mean, I'm having a beautiful Monday because, that disgusting, nauseating fan base that gets on my last damn nerves, them Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm not talking about the folks in Texas, but everywhere else. You thought every year they're gonna win the Super Bowl. I saw the New Orleans Saints score on their first 6 drives. I saw them have an absolute field day with them. It was hilarious to me. I didn't realize that Dallas was going to be so weak against the run or what have you. When you saw what New Orleans did to them yesterday, what were your thoughts?
Well, it was basically a continuation of the conversation this offseason. Last season, Dallas very, very good at home, struggled in their last home game. Why? Because they couldn't defend the run. The month of December, couldn't defend the run. This offseason, what did they do? What did they do? If you got a hole in your floor, you better call somebody. All they did was call up Zim. They ain't call up no personnel. Now, Zim does have a good scheme that typically takes people out of their run. But the NFL, it's about personnel. And they don't have the personnel, nor have they changed in the offseason. So this is a story from 2023 continuing over the 2024, and this will affect their trajectory as a football team, because there is nothing worse than getting run on or having your quarterback sacked or hit an awful lot. And it's hard to win in the NFL if you have one of those things.
So basically what you're trying to tell me is that I might be right. When I was struggling to put them as one of the top 6 teams in the NFC, top 7 teams in the NFC in terms of being one of those teams that got a playoff spot, I might not have been wrong. Mm-hmm. When I'm looking at New Orleans, when I'm looking at Tampa, when I'm looking at Seattle, even though San Francisco lost to Minnesota, I'm looking at them. Mm-hmm. You're looking at Green Bay, you're looking at Detroit, you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys, it's entirely plausible that they could miss the playoffs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think that they're going to miss the playoffs. Besides Philadelphia, there's no need to be concerned about anyone in NFC East. So they're definitely set up to be a wild card. Philadelphia, I believe, can have a special season. But the way that the team is set up, there are other teams that they don't match up well against. And when you talk about the San Francisco, the Green Bay, and now New Orleans and or Tampa Bay, Detroit, all these teams, Minnesota, almost everybody in the NFC, brother, if they're good, they can run the football. So that would be a big problem. That would be a conversation to go have throughout the season about the Cowboys and their defense.
I'm looking at that, and I get where you're coming from with it. I'm just of the mindset. Football's a team sport. We all get that. But somebody, when you pay these brothers big money, you're looking for somebody to stop the bleeding. And one could easily argue that I understand that New Orleans was having their way with them. The Saints was doing what they want to do. Derek Carr and obviously, you look at Alvin Kamara and what he was doing against them. Olave's no joke. Shaheed is no joke. Mm-hmm. I'm still looking at it from the standpoint that Dallas got the ball back. Dak Prescott, y'all scored on 4 of your first 5 possessions, but 3 of them was field goals. What about them, what they do offensively, what they bring to the table offensively? Do you see Dallas as being as good as they were last year or weaker?
Well, I think they're weaker offensively because outside of CD Lamb, who can they throw the ball to on a regular basis? Like, who is a proven commodity? Brandon Cooks he's been up and down throughout his career, and you can turn on the Cowboys on a given Sunday, and Brandon Cook, you won't even know if he's on the team. So it's hard to have your number 2 guy that disappears like that. So I have concern. They are not explosive at the running back position. They are more of a ball control team. And Ezekiel Elliott being at the end of his career, nothing wrong with that, but they just don't have an explosive player that they can put in the backfield. So those are problems. Last year, they're great passing attack, but once they got to the playoffs, they're still one-dimensional. Right now, they're a one-dimensional offense, and they will have plenty of problems trying to figure out how to add variety to that offense as they go throughout the season.
Let me transition to the Bengals and the Chiefs because obviously that pass interference call saved the Chiefs there, whatever. I'm looking at a Patrick Mahomes 17th in QBR thus far in the first two games of this season. I'm looking at Travis Kelce, my brother from another mother. Got love for him the whole bit. One of the greatest tight ends in the history of football. But yesterday we saw more Taylor Swift than we saw from him on a Sunday afternoon on a football field. Damn, one reception for 5 yards. I expected better. We saw Xavier Worthy. Bengals talking smack before the game. He goes out there. They say that he's limited. They held him to 2 receptions for 17 yards. I expected better from the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. I expected better from them offensively than what we've seen the first 2 games of this season. How concerned should we be? Or should we just shove it aside because, you know what, Patrick Mahomes is there and everything will be taken care of?
Well, you shouldn't shove it aside. It's a conversation of they have more varieties to win than they had last year. We talked about this last year with Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kansas City can win a defensive game. They can win in a shootout. They can. Patrick Mahomes can throw for 5 touchdown passes. Their defense can shut people down. Like Spagnuolo and Andy Reid, that combination gives them championship, not only pedigree, but ideas of how they can win games. Bill Belichick used to say this all the time. Most games in the NFL are lost. So Kansas City, they're a good football team. They didn't play good, but they didn't lose the game in the first 3.5 quarters. That's what's allowed them to be in the game late. Yes, they got a pass interference call. It was the right call at the right time. But because they're a veteran team and because their defense is good and because they can run the ball, how they're going to win is going to be different week in and week out. Now, you mentioned Travis Kelce. I've been knowing him since he was a rookie coming into the NFL out of Cincinnati. He came to do his training here in South Florida. I'm going to tell you, this is the first offseason that I did not see Travis Kelce in South Florida doing what he had done to make him legendary, potentially the best tight end ever. He wasn't doing that, not in South Florida. So, as you get in your career and once you get into certain relationships, it can alter your training. Let's try to keep the main thing the main thing. I hope he goes on to have a great year. But that's just an observation with someone who has seen that kid train. And now he's become an icon on and off the field. And now we get off to a slow start at this point in your career. That's just a symptom. And I think that being able to share that with someone like you, I think it will hold some weight.
A symptom of what? A symptom of what, CC? Right here, you on the Stephen A. Smith show. Say what it is, bro. Say don't hold back. Well, a symptom of what?
It's hard to stay focused when you're chasing after them girls. And especially after one of the biggest people, biggest personalities. And that life is not for everyone. He looks like he's having fun, but something got to suffer. You can't be great at everything.
But he ain't chasing us, CC. We ain't throwing his business out on Front Street like that. But everybody knows he already with Taylor Swift. He ain't chasing her. That's his lady. So they ain't chasing her.
No. If you hook up with someone like Taylor Swift, bro, every day, you better put your track shoes on because someone else will chase her. Okay? No, she's not one of them. Every day.
But they can chase her, but everybody can't catch her. You can't get. She got more security detail than the president of the United States had the damn time. You can't get that close to her. So the fact that he got close to her, I don't know if I'm buying that with you, CC. I don't know if I'm buying that one. Now again, if he was trying to get with her, that would be different. But the fact that he got her, she's showing up to the games or something. Ain't no damn reason for her to be in Kansas City other than Travis Kelce. She there all the time. So clearly he ain't chasing. He caught her. That's all I'm saying.
He's absolutely. And mad respect for Travis Kelce because he had been dating his sister since high school.
That's right. And don't get me started with the sisters that he dated. You talk about his decision making. It's just it was just impeccable. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just impeccable. If you gonna go the other route, it had damn well had been a Taylor Swift because with the sisters that he was hooking up with, it was something spectacular to behold. But nevertheless, You know what? He's got new heights. His podcast. He's doing
Mm-hmm.
big things. He's doing big things. We know he got his
Yes.
bag from the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just 2 games. We know he's going to turn it around because it's something. Because
He
the
also
brother's
started
big
slow
time.
last year. He had an injury
Well, that's
early
what
in
I'm
the
saying.
season. Yeah.
Now, last year was when he was chasing. See, last year was when he was chasing. Your argument would have made more sense about last year. This year is a little bit different. So how much culpability is on him, or could it be on Andy Reid and Andy Reid not utilizing him as effectively as he can because he's trying to fit other pieces into the equation? What about that argument?
I think Andy Reid went into this game trying to win the game. And as the flow of the game, they didn't have a good flow to it. They had to run the ball, eat up the clock, end up getting the injury in there. The passing game, because Cincinnati, how they match up with Kansas City, styles make fights. Cincinnati matches up well with them. They can rush the minimum amount of people and play a lot of coverage, and that slows them down. Andy Reid, if they were to play in the playoffs, he would figure that out because he knows if they're going to be successful, Kelce's got to be a big part of that.
Let me ask you this trick question. This is a trick question for you, CC. I'm gonna throw it your way because it's on my mind right now. Because you brought it up. You brought it up. So it's on my mind. I'm gonna ask you this question. What's harder to deal with, CC? You know, and I gotta ask this question. If you know you because you distracted by a significant other, or distracted by cities like Miami, you know, places like that, you know what I'm saying? LA, stuff like that. I mean, what's the bigger distraction for a professional athlete, particularly in the world of football? Is it a sad individual, or could it be temptation islands in respective cities throughout the country? What would you say?
Well,
is the hardest
it depends on what their personality is. It depends on what their flavor is, if they're outgoing or if they're introverts. But to me, the cities are a bigger detriment because there are more distractions compared to an individual, or if a guy just likes to enjoy himself, if he has multiple relationships that he tries to juggle at once. I still think that the cities are undefeated. Miami, LA, if you don't control yourself in those cities will swallow you up. They have swallowed up athletes for decades, and you will not be the one to master. You know, so I think that the city and the other things, the accoutrements that come with the cities, I think that's more of a distraction than individuals.
I was just having fun with you because that's what, to me, I've joked on many times in the past. That's the argument. That's the only argument I gave in favor of LeBron James being the GOAT. He won in Miami and LA. You see what I'm saying? I mean, when you got those cities, it's distractions, and you somehow maintain focus. You D Wade, and you were in Miami all of those years, and you winning 3 championships. I mean, my God, focus. You look Kobe Bryant, you in LA, and you win 5 championships with all those distractions and la. Focus. So I got to give credit where credit is due, you know, when you win in cities like that. But let me get back to football, my man.
But you
go ahead.
You do remember that my good friend is Ron Harper, and I traveled around with the Bulls and Michael Jordan. In Chicago, it's not bad with Michael Jordan, but also wherever Michael went, it was Hollywood. So that was pretty special too.
I'm just thinking about the number of people who caught frostbite trying to see him because it was so damn cold in Chicago from November through March. That's all I was thinking about. But I get your point. Let me ask you this. Going back to the Bengals, I've been of the mindset, I hope they lose every damn game until Jamar Chase gets his money. I know he got an insurance policy and all of this stuff, but you pay Justin Jefferson, you pay CeeDee Lamb, stuff like that. He's in that category. Give this man his money. What has been your thoughts about the Jamar Chase situation with the Bengals and their notoriously cheap owner, Mike Brown?
Okay, Steven, I got to disagree with you.
Okay.
And it's not about the money. It's about the timing. Now, unless the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I had discussions with the Minnesota Vikings about tearing up Justin Jefferson's contract over 2 years ago in London. I told them then they should pay him $35 million. The highest paid player was making $25 million. They were like, Christian, you crazy? I said, no, he is that kind of good. Chase is the same way, but him and CeeDee Lamb, they had both done 4 years compared to 3 years. Now, this brother's been to the Super Bowl. So that's the really only thing that he's gotten over them. But that extra year that takes you into the last year of your contract, if I was the Bengals, it's better for them. He's got 2 years left on his contract. I would sign him to $35 million and $1 because it's going to be prorated. It's going to end up being around $30 million because he's also got 2 more years left on the contract. So I'm all for him getting paid, but let's keep apples compared to apples. CD Lamb and them are 1 year older, and they had 1 year less on their contracts when they were able to negotiate their record-breaking contracts.
So you're saying because he has 2 years left, be patient, suck it up. If you're going to look at the situation, look at the fact that they had a year to go before they got their deal. You got 2 years to go, so it's not going to work out.
Joe Burrow, they didn't tear up his deal. They made him go to his option year like everyone else, and then they extended it. If they had set some type of precedent within the organization that they were extending people before the contracts were up with 2 years left, then yes, it should be recognized. But you have to know who your business partner is. Mike Brown, man, that man ain't spent no money on no clothes or nothing. If he could have minimum facilities, he would have them. If the NFL didn't have a minimum salary cap, he would spend the minimum amount of dollars on the players. He's always been that way. So know who you're doing business with, but take into consideration the precedent with JJ and CD Lamb. They were 1 year older, 1 year into the contract compared to Chase's argument there in Cincinnati.
We brought up Justin Jefferson and what he's capable of, and arguably the best receiver in football, even though I look at Tyreek Hill and I see somebody spectacular. I looked at Sam Darnold and how he's looking thus far. Should we be paying attention to Minnesota? Have we been sleeping on them? Have we been underestimating what Minnesota could potentially do this year?
Well, there's several variables that people don't follow Minnesota don't understand. And I just happened, my friends from Mitchell and Ness in Philadelphia, they just happened to, we rocking.
Number 80.
Yeah, we still rocking. So there's a few things people don't know about Minnesota. Number one, K.O., the head coach, I believe is one of the great, bright young men that is a leader of men. The types of things, the innovation as far as training, how he treats people, the vibe they have in the building, how the players love him. He is truly on the cutting edge as far as coaching and looking at different models if you want your guy to be an NFL head coach. So that's one thing. Also, their quarterback coach, a lot of people don't know this, is Josh McCown. Now, to me, Josh McCown is a special guy. When you see him, when you see his aura about him, people love him. When you're 15, 16 years as an NFL backup, we trust him teaching our quarterbacks, and then he ends up becoming a quarterback coach. So I think that he is going to be an up-and-coming young head coach, and their offensive personnel is spectacular. And just like Baker Mayfield got comfortable in Tampa after a couple unfortunate stops, man, this NFL, if you're a top 5 pick quarterback, man, this thing can punch you right in your face, spit you out, don't care nothing about your career. And because of most of these quarterbacks aren't that mentally tough, it ruins their career. It takes away their confidence. So he has spectacular running back, spectacular wide receivers, spectacular tight end. And the wild card to this is Brian Flores on the defense. He's got some guys to get after the passer. So they are a truly well-rounded football team. They can run it, they can throw it. Defensively, they're going to get after you. You have to prepare for that B flow. And he's got them boys on defense playing extremely well. So, yes, the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold, they are real.
Well, then if that's the case, CC, there's 3 teams that could come out of the NFC North. That's Detroit, that's Green Bay, that's Minnesota. Okay, so let's say, for example, you got New Orleans and Tampa coming out of the South. Let's say it's San Francisco and Seattle or the Rams, despite how the Rams looked, coming out of the West. That would leave Dallas out.
Don't be trying to use my information to prove your argument and trick me up.
That's what I'm trying to do. Then you the one that set it up. You gave me the ammunition. They're acting like, it's a foregone conclusion. It's the Giants, it's Commanders in the NFC East. So Dallas, it should be an easy breeze to the playoffs, to the wild card spot. No, it ain't.
Oh, yeah. Let's go with this. When you get new information, you have the right to be able to change your opinion.
You just gave me new information.
Yeah, when given the early outlook of the NFL and given the NFC North is going to be stronger because Chicago potentially going to be fighting for one of those playoff spots. I would go on record as saying this. The Dallas Cowboys, if they don't win their division, it ain't no layup that they're going to get a wild card spot. That's what I would be talking about.
Okay, I'm good with that. Let me ask you about the Steelers because, listen, Justin Fields is not turning the ball over. 2 starts, complete 70% of his passes, no turnovers, but he's not locking my socks off. I mean, the Steelers' offense doesn't look that potent from his position. I like Pickens. I like Warren. I like Najee Harris. I like Frymouth, but I got concerns. How are you feeling about the Steelers' quarterback situation right now?
I told you last week, bro. No need to change what I said. Justin Fields is just an above-average passer. And when he is under center, yes, if he doesn't turn the ball over, and yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers can win tough and they can win ugly football games. They've done that for years. But to me, I prefer him to be the backup and Russ because of his ability to pass the football, especially short and intermediate, is superior to Justin Fields. It gives you more cushion. It gives you more leeway. And it also gives you a good backup in case Russ gets hurt. So this is what I said after week number 1. Week number 2 proved that to be. He might not ever be a great passer of the football. But if Mike Tomlin tells me, hey, Chris, we get ready to grind this out to a division and get us into the playoffs and try to win in the cold under the elements, okay, I'm cool with that. But I like to have more variances for which I can win. The best team in football is Kansas City. They got outplayed yesterday, but it kept themselves in the game because of their experience and won it at the end. The Pittsburgh Steelers have to win special teams wide and defensively because offense right now is not potent enough to say, okay, we can go and win against any competition. They're just not there at this point, and I don't think they'll get there with Fields as the quarterback.
You started at Ohio State. This brother came out of Ohio State. What were your expectations of him when he came out of the Ohio State? Did you expect him to look like this or much, much better?
I was concerned because Ohio State, he had 2 NFL running backs. He had 4 NFL receivers. He had 2 or 3 offensive linemen in NFL. Like sometimes, man, the college stuff, it fools you. And yes, he was at my school, but there's a reason why he left Georgia. There's a reason why Ryan Day had a certain system around him at Ohio State. And he almost pulled off the big upset of Clemson there, but we came up a little bit short. But his timing, his lack of consistent accuracy, those are the real things. I don't care where the kid came from. It don't matter he went to Ohio State. This is a critique on a quarterback that in my plan in NFL, I made 8 Pro Bowls with 5 different quarterbacks. So knowing quarterbacks, what their variance is and what they do good and what they don't do well is very important to someone that plays the position.
Let me transition to the college game before I let you get on out of here. Shedeur Sanders. It's a deeper subject. We saw Colorado pounce on Colorado State. We saw Shedeur Sanders, after the game, refuse to shake the hand of the opposing quarterback at Colorado State because he saw him on social media talking trash prior to the hookup with his teammate, talking trash about Colorado. What were your thoughts about how Shedeur Sanders handled that situation?
Well, any quarterback that's going to be a first or second rounder, he's got to be able to conduct himself as a CEO. Like, he is the guy. He is the face of the organization. He's going to have to make decisions. He's going to have to be above reproach as far from a leadership standpoint. And Shedeur, this didn't start this weekend with him. Man, this has started since this kid has been in Little League, man. Prime out there coaching with gold on, glasses on, since this kid could start playing football. His dad's been his coach. So this is what they have faced. So at some point, you have to be able to fight back to be able to defend yourself. And his only defense was, I don't fool with you, man. I don't roll with you. I heard what you said. This happens along the way. Stephen A., you've had it happen to you. People say stuff, and then next thing you know, you meet up with them in public, and then it's, hey, shut your duck. Hey, how you doing, bro? No, man, get out my face, man. I heard what you said.
Yeah.
I had an incident where when I didn't get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I was at the NFL hotel, and I came downstairs, and it was a guy on NFL Network. And he was a brother, and me and Michael Irvin embraced, and you know how that's a very, very sensitive situation.
Yep.
And Mike was like, bro, they're going to give it to you. And then when I got done with him, this brother, he was like, oh, man, Chris, man, they screwed you over. I hope everybody know that. And I was like, bro, you was just on TV. I was just watching you upstairs. You didn't say nothing. You didn't defend me. You didn't do nothing. Now, I don't need you. My resume speaks for itself, but don't try to act like you're out here trying to help me when you're really not trying to help me. This quarterback did not have Shedeur's best interest at heart. That's why he was running his mouth. So now we didn't stop the game. No, bro. I ain't about that. So I truly respect what he's doing and how he went about it. And he didn't make a big mockery of the kid and everything. He just let him know that I know. And sometimes in your life, you have to be able to do that.
When I saw his reaction initially, I didn't like it because as being primetime Deion Sanders' son, he's going to be held to the same. Because let's call it what it is, CC. There's a whole bunch of people out there. Me and you ain't doing it, but there's a whole bunch of people out there that want Deion Sanders to fall flat on his face. They want him to lose. They want him to be embarrassed. They want him. They don't want anything good for him. I love him. I think I never asked you, but I think you got love for him. I know I do, and I don't root against him.
Prime is the real deal.
No doubt.
And he has been. He's been 100% authentic about who he is from the beginning.
Always. And I love him to death. But I looked at his son, and I said, damn, I hope that ain't ammunition to judge him. Then somebody sent me the video of the quarterback, Braden Fowler, Nicolosi, and Torrey Horton. And they were like, yo, we want to murder them. And then the other guy, the quarterback, was like, yo, they talking this smack, but this ain't social media. We going to get at them. You go on Instagram. I mean, they were saying they were extra. And I said,
oh, yeah.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. How he said, nah, I saw what you said. No, you can't F with me. That kind of stuff. And you knew it was something extra that was coming Shedeur Sanders' way leading into the game. That's not the way opponents normally talk about the competition. It was kind of personal, and I didn't like it, and that's why I'm backing Shedeur Sanders on this.
Yeah, and we should. And also, man, if I'm going to talk trash to somebody, guess what? It's not going to be someone that's being trained by Tom Brady. To me, I looked at Shedeur being trained by Tom Brady. That's what Tom Brady was doing in the NFL. People didn't believe him. People were saying stuff to him after the game. Remember that? Man, sometimes you got to be cold-blooded as a quarterback, man. And I liked the response. I thought it was natural, and I thought it was exactly what the other quarterback deserved at the time.
I look at primetime, and here's where I get worried. I hate him there. I just can't hold it back anymore because it's Boulder, Colorado. And I'm just saying to myself, are you really going to get some horses, some hogs to come there and really elevate your program? If he were at Texas A&M, I want him to get that job so badly. I think big things would be happening. If he were at Florida State, I think big things were happening. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off at Colorado because I don't know if he's going to be able to out-recruit most of those teams he's got to go up against. To that, you say what?
Well, Colorado is never going to be a hotbed like there is in the South, Southeast, or in Texas as far as football, because you have to look at it geographically, where kids are. And a lot of times, and Nick Saban, he explained this to me in his recruiting profile. He talked about a 5-hour car ride. Families are willing to get in their car and drive 4 to 5 hours. So he diagrammed from that city a radius of 4 hours, and that's going to be where he is going to live from a recruiting standpoint. If you do that in Colorado, You're at a lot of remote places, man. You're at a lot of places. There are not people that are qualified to be D1 football players that Dion would want. But one thing you have to realize is, man, you have to dance on the stage that you're on. And that's why he had to go to Jackson State, get the Jackson State experience. Now he's at Colorado. This is really qualifying him to legit. Can he be a Power 4 conference, run their organization? And this, to me, legitimizes him. And what he's done for that city and everything, it's more valuable than wins. Last year, people forget, man, they won 4 games last year. Yeah. This year, if he can double that, it legitimizes himself in the business of college football. We know all the other things that he can do. So it's important that he's able to establish himself in Colorado as a legitimate builder of a program.
Yeah. If he can get 7-8 wins, he's pulling up. He inherited a 1-11 program. You know, they won 4 games last year. He's turned around and he wins 7-8 games this year. That would be something. I don't see it happening, but I hope it does. CC, love you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot, man.
All good, man. Appreciate you.
No doubt. The one and only Cris Carter, Hall of Fame wide receiver. Cris Carter right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airways of YouTube and